Calls me alive, but there's one thing that I get. It's my man. It's my man. Go away, tired you feel.
I already don't feel like I'm a musician. And part of the reason not only is because I'm not educated and I haven't been doing it all my life. I mean, even if I didn't have a formal education, like a lot of the jazz people, if I had been playing all my life, maybe perhaps I wouldn't have this, you know, this self-consciousness about it. But the fact that I started so late, I play no instrument, I don't know how to read music, I don't write my own material. And I get shit from people. I'm sure that they're not trying to be evil, but they're kind of, you know, under this thing that, you know, you got to write your own stuff, or you got to at least play your own stuff, or whatever. And it's like, and I've always been that kind of person that has felt that way. I've always had more respect for women who write their own material and blah, 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 blah. One thing that they consistently say that I have is good taste, which is important for me to hear that kind of stuff because I don't feel very confident, you know what I mean? So it's like I work with all these guys who have this great education, this you know, great wealth of knowledge. They're all real seasoned professionals. You know, the fact that they think that I have good taste, you know, that, you know, I guess that is one of my little tricks that I get to have in my bag. I started singing 3 years ago, so I never did any music before that. I knew I had a voice, but I studied ballet very seriously, and so I was never, I never was really allowed to explore any other kind of creative stuff. And I always wanted to sing, and I kind of tried my hand at it a little bit, just a tiny, tiny little bit when I was in my late teens. I had a boyfriend who was in this band, and then I went and I sang backup one time with his band during a rehearsal with another chick from another whatever, and it ended up being really difficult because the singer wanted us to do 3-part harmonies, which of course I had no idea how to do that, you know what I mean? So, and then after that I just never really pursued it seriously. I also kind of got strung out. Mostly I was chicken. I had really bad stage fright, and I've talked about that quite a bit in interviews and stuff, is what really kept me, I think, from seriously pursuing it was just fear. So about 7 years ago, I took a couple of voice lessons with a friend of mine and it was this rockabilly band. And then 4 years later, the band broke up, and he asked me if I wanted to come and sing with his new project. And that is when I started singing.
To be sitting up here and clapping. We're clapping for you and for them. And oh, you know, I like to crack myself up. That's what I like to do. Do you guys want to hear a little Patsy Cline? You have to speak to me, I think. Yes? No?
And I met up with this guy, David Parlato, who's this super badass bass player he's recorded with like Barbra Streisand and Burt Bacharach and Jerry Lee Lewis and like all these crazy people. And somebody recommended that I talk to him about having him mentor me and teach me some of the basic stuff because I'm not a musician. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't have any training, blah, blah, blah. So we started working together like that, and then some things kind of started happening, you know, kind of making me think, well, maybe, you know, we could just do vocals and bass, you know, because I was intimidated to try and do something with a whole band, especially a jazz band, because they're all really good and I just don't know what the fuck I'm doing. For me, as far as jazz music goes, my preference is like old Billie Holiday. I really like the old kind of Torch songs. I like the real swingy kind of stuff. You know, there's a certain area of jazz music that I prefer just over other kinds of jazz music. So that's how I started getting into the jazz music. And he took me to this place to record it, which happened to be Michael Grimes's studio. So that's how I met Michael initially, and I liked Michael immediately. I liked his vibe. He's real laid back, but he's, you know, a really good musician, and you can tell he's very serious. And so there was good chemistry. And then I kept pushing. And then I think Michael had a couple of projects that went away. And so he started to have a little more space. So yeah, so that's how it started. And then finally Michael agreed to do something. And that's like slowly, I think he's finally kind of like, I think he's pretty solid that he's wanting to play, you know, in the Bernadette Seacrest experience, whatever that is, you know.
So, I'm going to introduce you to my boys right now. We have a new member who is now all official, like. I think he knows that. Mr. Aaron Cummings on the saxophone and the clarinet. Mr. Michael Grimes on the upright bass. And Mr. Jason Asmussen on the drums. It is such a treat to play with these boys, I have to say.
I hope that people would be like, not just be like, well, you know, she can only sing the jazz music, you know. I'm an old punk rocker and I'm singing jazz music. So I kind of would hope that anything we would do, people would be happy. I mean, I'd like to do, you know, like a gospel record, and I'd love to do a soul record, you know, like a full-on, like 60s, 70s kind of funk soul, and I'd love to do, you know, like some real old classic vintage country music, and, you know, I'd love to try my hand at the punk rock, you know. I mean, there's so much music, so we'll see. I don't know. Fucking even 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I was talking to David Parlato and I was like, I would really like to be able to feel comfortable as a musician in 3 years' time. And that was 2 years ago, and I just already have this hugely successful CD. it's kind of cool. You know, if I compare myself to myself, instead of comparing myself to other people, because that's where I fuck myself up. I think, well, look at Nico Case. Fucking incredible. And she got a late start in life, and she just got to be on Conan O'Brien with John Doe, and you know what I mean? I mean, she's been on Austin City Limits and, you know, Grand Ole Opry, and she tours all over the world. It's like, if I compare myself to her, I'm fucked. You know what I mean? So I can't do that.
He's a real crowd pleaser. I don't know how much we pleased you tonight, so we're going to do one for you guys.
But there's a lot of shit that's going on that's just incredible. I'm determined to go to Paris, and my dream is that I want to be in Paris and play on my 40th birthday, which is in... So I have a lot of work to do. But I also don't want to limit myself, you know, to just what I can imagine, you know, because I think that you know, obviously, the universe is... I'm nothing. It's all about putting out that energy, you know. And the art of possibility is, you know, what is the art of possibility? Is that you, if you can think it, if you can dream it, if you can imagine it and be open and put that energy out there, then anything at all is fucking possible. And how cool is that? That is what makes life worth living.
I may look like a foreign boy. I'm a lover. Standing goodbye, looking at the cover. Sugar, by looking at the cane. You can't judge a woman by looking at her man. You can't judge a daughter by looking at a brother. You can't judge a book by looking at the cover.
You know what, you can ask about the tattoos and I'll just say, I'm not going to talk about it.